The Las Vegas Raiders play the Carolina Panthers on Sunday, and coming up here on today's show, we're going to be looking at the biggest rumors and storylines that have been circulating around the nation. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Panda Subs. I love me some Panda Subs. I've been trying to get into better shape for my wedding, which is just a few months away. If you're trying to get into better shape, go to pandasubs.com. Use code Raiders for 20% off. I'm talking protein, BCAAs, fat burners. They also got some new apparel, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. Now, the show that you're watching right now, you probably clicked on it because it starts off by saying, is Jackson Powers-Johnson going to be starting this week, the rookie out of Oregon? That's, to me, the biggest question mark that I have going into this matchup. And when you listen to what Anotnio Pierce said earlier in the week, it kind of sounded that he was optimistic that at least that he was going to be on the field. Though, when you read some of the rumors, when you look at some of the tea leaves, I'm sitting up here going, JPJ might get a start against Carolina. The reason why that I'm saying that is AP said that if he was a betting man, he would expect to see number 58 out there. On top of that, when you look at some of the reports around the Raiders in terms of switching up their run scheme, quite frankly, I don't really think that it makes sense to go to more of a power run scheme if you're going to start Cody Whitehair, Andre James. If you plan on starting JPJ, which is more of a power run scheme type of blocker, then I can understand why Anotnio Pierce would want to do that, which there's been a lot of conversations around Zamir White, and I know that this Raiders offensive line has been bad. I've been preaching that this is something that needs to be changed. I think everybody that rocks with the silver and black knows that the Achilles heel to this team right now is this Raiders offensive line, but the fact that we haven't seen the rookie out there yet, and then you see the reports of them potentially switching up the running game, I got to ask the nation. This is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show, which means you're about to get it with the YouTube ad break. Scroll on down, give me your answer. I'll give you my answer after this. Do you want JPJ to start against the Panthers? Yes or no? If JPJ is 100% healthy and you have 100% confidence in him, AP, I would like to see him out there and go. I did also say this, though, earlier in the week where the best Raiders offense that I have seen so far this year with Luke Getsy was the offensive line that we ended up going with in that Week 2 fourth quarter, which was Colton Miller, Cody Whitehair, Andre James, Dylan Parham, Thayer Munford, and that offense was able to move the football effectively against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm always a big fan. If it's not broken, don't fix. I'm not saying this offensive line is not broken, but if you think that JPJ can make you better, I am interested, but I also won't get mad if you go with the offensive line that worked against the Ravens there in that fourth quarter. Let's go to the second storyline here against Carolina, and it's Anotnio Pierce calling the offensive line piss poor this week, which it's not a lie. It was a cold, hard fact. This offensive line has been piss poor. And my question is, will the offensive line make improvements? Are we going to see a unit that actually wants to be out there and looks like that they're actually able to block for somebody? Like, joking aside, when the offensive line plays as bad as what this Raiders offensive line is, and you're going to be a team that preaches 12 personnel, wanted to be a balanced attack and doing all these things, you can't have numbers that look like this. Dead last in sacks allowed. Your pass blocking efficiency is 28th in the NFL. Pressures, you're 25th. And then your run blocking grade, according to PFF, is 31st in the National Football League. Like, I'm looking at every single person. Andres Pete, Jackson Powers-Johnson, Jordan Meredith, DJ Glaze, those five guys that are pictured. I'm talking about James Craig, Anotnio Pierce. If you're rocking with a Raiders jersey on that sideline at Allegiant Stadium, wear it with pride this week. You're going up against the Carolina Panthers team that I know a lot of people might not believe in, but that team's going to be playing inspired football. And if you don't think that they're going to be playing inspired football, then you didn't watch the Raiders game last season when Josh McDaniels was fired and we were going up against the New York Giants. This is their Super Bowl. They're going to be bringing that energy. And if you're not ready and you get whooped against the Carolina Panthers, then there might be a chance to hit a panic button right there. I got a deal. I know that I'm not live, but hey, I'm a man that likes to make a deal. If this video gets 100 new subscribers, I'm going to give away a Charles Woodson jersey on game day. Sound like a good deal? If you're watching this show for the first time, hit that subscribe button. Who knows? You might even have a chance to win the legendary 24. Let's go to the third storyline here going up against the Carolina Panthers, and it's will Zamir White and the Las Vegas Raiders run game get it going in Week 3. AP has said that he doesn't believe that the run game is on Zamir, and I agree and disagree with that. Like, I definitely think that Zamir deserves some blame, which I don't love his style of running with this type of offensive line we have. He also has to do a better job of being able to read the holes. And when you look at James Craig's O-line in this scheme that we run, you need a running back that's better at the jump cut, being able to get north and south. And Zamir's vision right now is definitely lacking, which I wonder if it's because he had that fumble week 1. Since he's been doing that, it's been more of a, I can't turn over the ball. He's really been tucking it and running. The Raiders, though, are also dead last in the league with 49.0 rushing yards per game. That's not good. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. It's not good. Zamir, 22 of 68 this season, averaging 3.5 yards per carry. Alexander Madison, 9 for 20, did have a touchdown, but last week his stat was 4 attempts for a yard and a touchdown. Now, he does have 2 TDs this season, 1 through the air, 1 on the ground, but the Raiders are not going to be successful for the long run, the more and more tape that people get on Luke Getsy in this offense, if all we can do is sling the rock. Don't get me wrong. We got great skill position players. The quarterback spot is still a little bit lacking. Let's just be real. But you got to figure out this running game here a little bit, because anytime that you're last in the league in any stat, that's eye-popping. But when you're last and it's not close, that's concerning. Mitch, it's only 2 weeks. I hear you. We went up against a good Chargers defense. We went up against a good Baltimore Ravens defense, and I know that is going to impact the stats, where the Raiders right now have the 23rd overall defense. If anybody tells that that's not a top 10 defense, they don't know ball. But I also know that this is an opportunity for the Raiders to kind of get it right. And even though Carolina is 31st in the National Football League right now in rushing yards against, they also went up against the Chargers, and they also went up against the New Orleans Saints, 2 teams that are really moving the football well right now in 2 blowout games. So when you're outscored 73-13, it's not surprising that you're going to give up a lot of rushing yards. But we also got to be able to look ourselves in the mirror here as a football team and say, are we going to continue to get manhandled on the offensive line? If the answer to that is yes, then we might as well just pack this thing up and get it going. I believe in Andre James. I believe in Cody Whitehair. But quite frankly, those 2 guys, and especially Andre James, he's got to be able to step this thing up. Our entire defense got to be able to step it up. Zamir White's got to be able to step it up. And it's not a personal attack. It's just let's be honest. The offensive line, the running game needs to get going, because you can't continuously go out there and try to throw the football as much as what I think that the Raiders might try to chuck the ball. I know Antonio Pierce has said that he wants to be able to get Zamir White 20 touches and he wants to be able to run the rock, but what I don't want to see is every time you run the football, Zamir's got to make 2 guys miss just to get back to the line of scrimmage. The running game needs to get going, and this is the week that they need to do it. Just maybe they need to go to Panda Subs and get a little bit of protein in their diet to strengthen up, because Andre James being the 32nd out of 33 centers in the National Football League right now is pretty disgraceful to me. Now, Panda Subs did just release some brand new protein. They got the ice cream sundae cone, which I haven't tried it yet, but just based off of the chocolate shavings, the peanuts, there's also waffle cone pieces in this protein. It's so good that you can't even believe it's true. And for anybody that follows me for a while, you'll know that in the summertime, honestly, not even 365 days out of the year, I'm a slut for a good s'more. And this protein right here is really good. Personally, I prefer it with milk. If anybody sees anything that they want up on screen here, reminder, it's code Raiders for 20% off at pandasubs.com. They also have this brand new blue snow cone pre-workout, which I work out in the morning, and it's a really good thing to kind of get the motor going. And I got to give a shout out to Merbad here. He's a big Raider fan. He's been rocking with us for a long, long time, and I've been telling him, yo, we need some more silver and black and white type of products, and he's totally relaunched this. If anybody needs a new backpack, he just put out a brand new tactical backpack, which you can get in black. The white one is sick. Now, I'm a little messy. If you're more clean, then I think that you'd be able to rock this one right here. Beautiful backpack. You can get it at pandasubs.com. They got all sorts of gear, workout stuff, you name it. If you're somebody that's you know what, man, I'm somebody that's going to support Raiders fans, Panda Subs is owned and operated by a bunch of Raider fans, so go to pandasubs.com, code Raiders for 20% off. Let's go to the biggest storyline here, maybe to a lot of people. It's Luke Getsy. Are we going to stick to the offense that we saw in the fourth quarter against Baltimore, or are we going to go back to the dink and dunk, screens behind the line of scrimmage, the offense that makes me want to pull my hair out, the offense that makes me scream, the offense that every single Raider fan doesn't want to see this upcoming week? The Raiders scored 13 points in that comeback win. And if you go back and you watch the game, I went back and I watched the game, and I actually didn't see this live, but there's a point in that fourth quarter, Antonio Pierce, he walks over to Luke Getsy, and he's kind of like looking at him, and I don't know what the words that were said, but I do find it very interesting that after AP had that little bit of a conversation with Getsy, all of a sudden the Raiders offense started to move in the football. Like, I want Getsy to trust Minshew. I want them to be able to throw the ball down the field. Right now, Minshew's first in the NFL with a 77.5 completion percentage. He's second in the NFL with 533 passing yards. He's like right in the middle of the pack there. I want to say 15th or 14th with a quarterback rating. Minshew has the weapons. I want the Raiders, Luke Getsy, Davante Adams has got to see 10 targets. Even if they're not always high-quality targets, when you have a player like Davante Adams that you can move all over the football field, he's going to create eyeballs. And if he starts getting going, you know every single defensive coordinator is going to go, well, we might have to double up Davante. We might have to give him safety help over the top, which then opens up something for a guy like Brock Bowers, who leads all NFL tight ends right now with 15 catches, 156 yards. The rookie is on pace right now to shatter the single-season record for rookie receptions in a year, which is held by Sam Laporta with 86. Bowers is on pace right now for 127 grabs. But to me, those two guys have been getting it done, and they're going to start getting a lot more eyeballs on them. I want to challenge Getsy to get these three players a little bit more involved this week. I want to see some shots down the field of Trey Tucker. Trey Tucker looked unbelievable in the preseason. Hell, I thought he was going to have a monstrous season, and he's been a little quiet. Whether we got to get some jet sweeps, whether we got to get some end-arounds, whether we just got to get some motion, Trey Tucker has to be a bigger impact player in this offense because of what he can do. And then I want to see Michael Mayer a little bit more. If we got to add, I'm not saying a fullback, but like maybe we could use Harrison Bryant as an H-back to help out this running game, where if we want to run 12 personnel, you put Brock Bowers out there, you put Michael Mayer out there, you line up Harrison Bryant as a fullback, and he can go out there and block. He's probably your best blocking tight end anyway. That's going to confuse the defense, where you get that extra blocker from Harrison Bryant, and then once in a while, you split them out wide, you run some sort of a wheel route, whatever it might be. I want to see those three players use a little bit more, because what we can't afford to happen is if it's not Bowers or Davante or Jacoby, this team's not moving the football. We need to mix it up a little bit, and let's do it this week at home against Carolina. The fifth biggest storyline going up against the Panthers is, can Maxx Crosby continue to make his case for the Defensive Player of the Year? I know that he's a top player in this league. You know that he's a top player in this league. But year in and year out, he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves, simply because the Raiders don't win football games. Simply because he doesn't have a lot of sacks. Well, guess what? He won AFC Defensive Player of the Week, 2 sacks against Lamar Jackson. This season, the Raiders right now, I want to say they have 3 sacks this year. All 3 are Mad Max. He's got 11 tackles, tied for first in the NFL with 5 tackles for loss. I know that Max is that dude. And with the addition of Adam Butler coming back, the addition of Christian Wilkins, what the Raiders were able to do, they're creating a lot more one-on-ones for Mad Max. And I'm telling you right now, if Max keeps having the seasons that he's having, don't get me wrong, Aiden Hutchinson, he's got 5.5 sacks. He's having a good year as well for the Detroit Lions. But I'm asking for the Raider fan in me, if there's one player that deserves the recognition, it's this guy right here. I don't think anybody outworks this guy. I don't think anybody wants it more. I was talking to Max over the week, and I said, hey, man, keep it going. I don't think anybody's better than you. And every time he responds with, there's more work to be done. If you want to be in that category of the guys that he's got tatted on him, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Muhammad Ali, then you need to continue to go out there and get it done. Do it in your home opener. And if you think that Maxx Crosby is the best defensive player in the National Football League, you better hit that like button. Hell, I'm going to make an account, and I'm going to like this video twice. That's how passionate I am about number 98. Mama Crosby, thank you. Daddy Crosby, sounds kind of weird. Thank you for giving us number 98. Let's go to storyline number 6 here for Carolina. Are the Raiders ready for the Red Rifle? I can't even believe I'm saying this in the year 2024, but Andy Dalton is getting the start. Bryce Young ended up getting benched. And here's the thing, Andy Dalton has had the Raiders number. I want a revenge game, and I get it. The years past where Dalton has lit up the silver and black, we didn't have the defense that we have now. Quite frankly, for 20-plus years, this is one of the worst defenses in all of the league. But we don't have the tape on Dalton the way that we have tape on Bryce Young. And the Panthers' offense right now has been the worst offense in the league. Total yards per game, last. Pass yards per game, 31st. Rush yards, 29th. Points per game, 6.5. There's a lot of guys watching this right now and said, 6.5? You know what I'm talking about. No, Points, guys. Get it together. 32, though. Got to be better here for the Raiders. And did you know Andy Dalton is 3-0 all-time against the Raiders with a passer rating of 114.2. Technically, Dalton has played in his career 4 times against the Raiders. One of those games, he only threw 1 pass in backup duty, which his team also won. This guy right here has never, ever has never lost to the Raiders. And the last time that they went up against, or Dalton went up against the Silver and Black, this might have been the most frustrating game that I've ever covered here. It was the game where we went down to New Orleans and Derek Carr and this offense couldn't get the ball past midfield. If I'm AP, I'm putting this as bulletin board material. This guy has never lost to our organization. Let's change that this week. And the other thing that the Raiders just got to be ready for, you can laugh, like you can say, oh, this Carolina Panthers team is bad. I saw Vic Tafur say that he thought that they could go 0-17. They're not that bad of a football team. And Dalton, the veteran that he has shown up in these situations before. Last season, when the starter went down, he was forced to get in the game. Sure, the Seahawks ended up getting the win, but Dalton was 34-58, 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, showed that he was ready to go and able to get this thing going. Week 4 in 2022, when Jameis Winston ended up going down, Dalton stepped in. Again, his team ended up losing, but 20-28, 236 yards and a touchdown. When you watch the Carolina Panthers play, they're blocking. Their pass blocking is done a good job. In fact, last week, Bryce Young was the least pressured quarterback in the NFL. 29 dropbacks, was pressured only 4 times. Receivers are getting open. If Andy Dalton does what he's done his entire career and he finds the open guy, and if he's never thrown an interception, I know what the Raiders are, and I think that they are the better team than Carolina. But I also know this, that everybody thought, I should say everybody, 90% of Raiders fans probably thought that we were going to lose to Baltimore last week. If you don't show up in the NFL, somebody's going to put you on your ass. If you don't get prepared and you're not ready to go, you will lose that football game. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen this week because I believe AP is going to have this team ready to go. But quite frankly, my question is, will you be ready to go? Chugs and I are going to be live on Sunday. Raiders, Panthers, we're going to be live an hour before kickoff. Make sure you're there. And reminder, if we get 100 new subs, I'm giving away a Charles Woodson jersey on Sunday.